HOA Karen tried to sue me. She didn't expect this legal knockout. Mark was a quiet man. He did not like drama. He did not like fights. He just wanted peace in his home. Mark lived in a clean, small neighborhood with an HOA. Every month, he paid his HOA fee on time. He followed every rule carefully. He believed rules were meant to keep life simple. But one day, everything changed. It started on a calm morning. Mark was watering his small front lawn. The sun was soft. Birds were singing. Then a loud voice broke the peace. "Excuse me." Mark turned around. A woman stood at the edge of his driveway. She wore dark glasses and held a clipboard tight in her hands. This was Karen. She was the head of the HOA. Karen walked fast toward Mark. Her smile looked polite, but her eyes were cold. "I am from the HOA," she said. "You broke the rules." Mark blinked. "I'm sorry," he asked calmly. Karen pointed at his house. "That paint color is not approved." Mark looked at his wall. It was the same color it had been for years. "I checked the rules," Mark said. "This color is allowed." Karen's smile disappeared. "I decide what is allowed," she replied. That moment felt strange to Mark. He did not argue. He did not raise his voice. He simply nodded and said, "Please send me the notice." Karen frowned. "I don't need to," she said. "You will get a fine." Mark watched her walk away. Something felt wrong. That night, Mark checked the HOA rules again. He read every line slowly. There was no violation. Not one. The next day, a letter arrived. HOA violation notice. Fine, $250. Mark felt confused. He called the HOA office. No one answered. 1 week later, another letter came. Second notice. Fine increased. Mark felt pressure growing. He knocked on his neighbor's door. The neighbor sighed. "She did the same to me," the neighbor whispered. "I paid. It was easier." Mark understood then. Karen was not about rules. She was about control. Days passed. Karen started walking near Mark's house every morning. She took photos. She wrote notes. One day, she stopped him again. "If you don't pay," Karen said, "this will go to court." Mark felt his chest tighten. Court? Over nothing? He stayed calm. "I did nothing wrong," Mark said quietly. Karen leaned closer. "We will see," she replied. That night, Mark could not sleep. He thought about his job, his savings, his future. Most people would panic. Most people would give up. But Mark did something different. He started keeping records. He saved every letter. He took photos. He printed HOA rules. Karen didn't stop. She sent emails with threats. She sent letters with red ink. Then one morning, Mark opened his mailbox. A legal envelope. His hands shook. Inside was a lawsuit. HOA versus Mark. Karen was suing him. She claimed Mark broke multiple rules. She claimed he refused to obey. She claimed fines were ignored. None of it was true. Mark sat down slowly. For a moment, fear filled the room. Karen believed Mark was weak. She believed he would fold. She believed power was on her side. But she did not know one thing. Mark was not weak. He was patient. And patience can be dangerous. That night, Mark made a decision. He would not run. He would not pay. He would fight calmly. What Karen didn't know was this. Every letter she sent, every threat she made, every fake charge she created, she was building the case that would destroy her. Karen thought this was her victory. She smiled. But far away, Mark was preparing something she never expected. And when the courtroom doors opened, everything would change. Karen did not become HOA president by accident. She wanted power. For Karen, rules were not about safety or order. Rules were about control. Every morning, Karen walked through the neighborhood like she owned it. She checked lawns. She checked cars. She checked houses. She enjoyed writing violation notes. It made her feel important. Neighbors saw her coming and went inside. Some closed their curtains. Some pretended not to be home. No one argued with Karen, because arguing always made things worse. Karen believed fear kept people obedient. And fear worked. Until Mark. Mark was different. He didn't shout. He didn't beg. He didn't panic. He stayed calm. That bothered Karen. Silence made her uncomfortable. She wanted reactions. She wanted people to break. So she pushed harder. Karen started watching Mark closely. Too closely. She noted what time he left for work. What time he returned. Who visited his house. She told herself she was doing her job. But deep down, it was personal now. One afternoon, Karen called an HOA meeting. She spoke loudly. "There is a homeowner who refuses to follow rules," she said. "He thinks he is above us." Some neighbors looked at the floor. They knew who she meant. Karen held up papers. "These fines are legal," she said. "And if he doesn't pay, we will take legal action." No one questioned her. No one asked for proof. Karen took silence as support. That night, she sent Mark another email. Final warning. Her words were cold. "You leave us no choice." Karen felt powerful. She believed the court would crush Mark. She believed money would scare him. But Karen had a weakness. She never read the law carefully. She only read the parts she liked. Karen did not know that HOA power has limits. And she crossed those limits many times. Meanwhile, Mark noticed something strange. Karen's letters were missing details. No proper dates. No official process. Just threats. Mark began to understand the pattern. Karen rushed things. She skipped steps. She acted on emotion. And emotion makes mistakes. One evening, Mark sat at his desk. Papers spread everywhere. He wasn't angry. He was focused. He highlighted HOA rules. He compared them to state law. And slowly, something became clear. Karen was not just wrong. She was breaking the law. Mark realized something important. Karen thought she was hunting him. In reality, she was exposing herself. The more she pushed, the more evidence she created. The more confident she became. The closer she moved to collapse. Karen filed the lawsuit with pride. She told other board members. This will teach him a lesson. She imagined victory. She imagined Mark begging. But Mark was doing something else. He was planning. And while Karen slept peacefully, believing she had already won, Mark was preparing the move. That would turn her power into her biggest mistake. The lawsuit did not scare Mark at first. It confused him. He read the papers slowly. Each line felt heavy. Each word felt sharp. Karen accused him of many things. Too many things. Wrong paint. Illegal parking. Ignoring notices. Disrespecting the HOA. Mark shook his head. Most of it never happened. Some of it happened only in Karen's mind. The papers looked official. The language was strong. Karen wanted Mark to feel small. That was the plan. Mark sat alone at his kitchen table. The house was silent. For the first time, fear touched him. Court was not cheap. Court was not simple. Karen knew this. She believed money would break him. She believed stress would defeat him. But Mark did not rush. He did not send angry emails. He did not confront Karen. He did something smarter. He started reading. Every night, after work, Mark studied HOA bylaws, state housing law, court cases. He learned one important truth. HOA leaders are not kings. They have limits. And Karen crossed those limits many times. Mark noticed missing steps. No hearing notice. No proper warning. No vote approval. Karen skipped the rules she didn't like. She moved fast. Too fast. That speed would cost her. Mark began organizing everything. One folder for letters. One folder for emails. One folder for photos. He labeled dates carefully. While Karen felt powerful, Mark was building a wall. Each document was a brick. Each mistake was proof. One evening, Mark received a voicemail. Karen's voice was sharp. "You still have time to settle," she said. "Court will not be kind to you." Mark listened twice. Then he saved it. Karen didn't realize something. Threats can be evidence. Pressure can become proof. Mark didn't reply. Silence again. That silence annoyed Karen. She wanted control. She wanted a reaction. So she pushed harder. She sent another letter. More fines. More threats. Mark stayed quiet. But inside, he felt different now. Calmer. Stronger. Fear slowly turned into confidence. Mark decided it was time. Not to fight Karen directly, but to fight smart. He booked a meeting with a lawyer. The lawyer read the case file. He leaned back. Then he smiled. "This is not a strong case," the lawyer said. Mark felt his shoulders relax. The lawyer pointed at the papers. "She violated process," he said. "She abused authority." Karen didn't know this yet. She believed the court date meant victory. But for Mark, the court date meant something else. Exposure. And while Karen prepared speeches, Mark prepared facts. Facts don't shout. Facts don't threaten. Facts wait. And when the right moment comes, they strike hard. Karen thought Mark was alone. She was wrong. Very wrong. Karen felt untouchable. For weeks, she walked with confidence. The lawsuit gave her energy. She told herself this story again and again. "I am right. He is wrong." Karen liked to talk. She talked to neighbors. She talked to board members. She talked too much. And that was her mistake. At an HOA board meeting, Karen spoke loudly. "We must be strict," she said. "If we don't punish him, others will break rules." Some board members nodded. They trusted her. Karen placed papers on the table. "These are legal notices," she said. But no one checked them. Karen assumed no one ever would. Meanwhile, Mark was doing the opposite. He stopped talking. He stopped explaining. He started listening. Mark attended one HOA meeting quietly. He sat in the back. Karen noticed him. She smiled in a proud way. She believed Mark came to surrender. But Mark came to observe. Karen spoke for a long time. She explained how she fined Mark. How she skipped hearings. How she acted fast. She believed honesty showed strength. In reality, it showed violation. Mark recorded nothing. He wrote nothing. He remembered everything. Later that night, Mark called his lawyer. She admitted it, Mark said calmly. The lawyer paused. Good, he replied. Karen continued sending messages. Some emails were angry. Some were proud. One message said, I don't need permission to act. Another said, the HOA belongs to us. Those words mattered. Karen did not know that emails last forever. Mark saved everything. Karen thought she was pressuring him. She was feeding him evidence. The lawyer explained it simply. She acted without votes. She ignored procedure. She abused authority. Each point was strong. Each point was dangerous. For her. Karen felt no fear. She believed the judge would side with power. She believed confidence meant truth. Karen never prepared answers. She prepared speeches. Mark prepared documents. The difference would decide everything. One afternoon, Karen filed extra charges. She added new fines. She changed dates. That was another mistake. Changing records is serious. Very serious. Mark did not react. He smiled for the first time. Because now, this was no longer a small case. This was a big one. Karen trapped herself slowly. Step by step. And she never noticed. She believed she was chasing Mark. In reality, she was walking into the courtroom with her own mistakes in her hands. The closer the court date came, the calmer Mark became. The louder Karen became. And when someone talks too much, they reveal too much. The trap was ready. Karen just didn't know it yet. The courtroom was quiet. Too quiet. Mark walked in slowly. His hands were steady. His eyes calm. Karen stormed in like a storm. Her heels clicked on the floor. Her clipboard clutched tight. Her voice loud, demanding attention. She looked around. The judge, the board members, the neighbors. She believed they all feared her. Mark didn't react. He sat calmly. He opened his folder. Everything was organized. Every email. Every letter. Every photo. The judge called the case. Karen jumped in immediately. This man broke rules, she shouted. He refused to pay fines. He ignored notices. Her voice was strong, confident, loud. But her words had one problem. No proof. Mark's lawyer stood slowly. The courtroom grew quiet. He spoke calmly. Step by step. Your Honor, he said. This is not a case of disobedience. This is a case of abuse of authority. He showed the documents. Emails where Karen admitted she acted without votes. Letters missing proper notices. Screenshots of threats. Karen's face changed. She had never expected this. The lawyer pointed out every error. Every skipped step. Every illegal fine. Karen tried to interrupt. She waved her papers. She shouted louder. But Mark didn't flinch. He stayed quiet. The neighbors watched. Some gasped. Some whispered. Karen realized something. Her power was gone. She was losing control. The judge looked at the documents carefully. He paused. He leaned forward. Mark's lawyer presented the final piece. A timeline of Karen's mistakes. Clear evidence. No exaggeration. No lies. The room was tense. Every eye on the judge. Every breath seemed louder than usual. Karen's confidence shook. Her voice trembled slightly. She tried to speak, but the judge held up his hand. Enough, the judge said firmly. Let's review the facts. For the first time, Karen felt fear. She had never expected that calm, silent man to build this wall against her. Mark stayed quiet. He did not gloat. He only listened. His lawyer spoke for him. And the courtroom watched every second. Karen's arguments collapsed one by one. Her evidence was weak. Her claims had holes. Her threats became proof against her. The judge shook his head. Karen swallowed hard. The power she believed she had slipped away. Mark smiled slightly. Not loudly. Not with celebration. Just a quiet, confident smile. Because now, the case had shifted. From fear to justice. From chaos to truth. And Karen still didn't realize. The legal knockout was just beginning. The courtroom was silent. Karen sat nervously. Her hands fidgeted with papers. Her confident mask was gone. She had miscalculated. Mark's lawyer stood slowly. He had all the evidence ready. Every email, every letter, every violation of procedure. It was clear, precise, undeniable. The judge leaned forward. His eyes sharp. His tone firm. After reviewing the evidence, the judge said, "This lawsuit is dismissed in its entirety. The HOA acted outside its authority. The fines imposed are invalid. The homeowner is entitled to compensation." The words hit Karen like a punch. Her face went pale. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She had expected victory. Not this. Mark sat calmly. He did not raise his voice. He did not cheer. He only exhaled slowly. A quiet relief, a small smile on his lips. The judge continued. The HOA must follow proper legal procedures. Abuse of authority will not be tolerated. Members found guilty of violations of process will face penalties. Karen's shoulders slumped. The courtroom felt heavy with silence. Neighbors who had feared her stared in shock. Some whispered to each other. She finally lost. Mark's lawyer added the final blow. Additionally, your client caused unnecessary stress and legal fees. The homeowner is entitled to reimbursement for expenses caused by this abusive lawsuit. Karen's eyes widened. She had not anticipated compensation. She had not thought the law would punish her for her own arrogance. Mark leaned back in his chair. He did not gloat. He had won, but quietly. The law had done its work. Justice had spoken. Karen left the courtroom stunned. She had lost the board's respect. Her power, her influence, and her image, all destroyed in one decisive moment. Outside the courtroom, neighbors spoke quietly among themselves. Some thanked Mark silently. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Mark walked out calmly. He did not need to shout or celebrate. His victory was clear. The law had been on his side. And patience, courage, and careful preparation had won the day. As Karen's car drove away, Mark realized something. The fight had ended, but the lesson remained. Power without law is fragile. Silence is not weakness. And patience can be stronger than anger. For Karen, it was the harshest lesson she had ever learned. For Mark, it was the quietest victory he had ever celebrated. The legal knockout was complete. And everyone who witnessed it knew one thing for sure. Never underestimate a calm, patient man standing for justice. Karen's defeat was complete. But the story did not end with a courtroom decision. The HOA board held an emergency meeting after the trial. Neighbors whispered nervously. Some had feared Karen for years. Now, they finally found their voices. Karen sat at the head of the table. Her eyes darted around, hoping for support. But no one backed her. One by one, board members spoke. They admitted Karen had abused power. They admitted she had acted unfairly. And finally, the board voted unanimously. Karen was removed from her position. Karen left the room silently. No speeches. No arguments. Her reign of fear was over. Meanwhile, Mark returned to his home. The street felt quieter than ever. The neighbors smiled. Some waved. Some whispered thanks. Mark did not celebrate loudly. He did not post online. He only walked into his house. He looked at his front lawn, the same paint, the same calm home. Everything felt peaceful. Finally. But the lesson of this fight stayed with him. Karen had thought that loud words, threats, and fear could win. She had underestimated patience, preparation, and truth. She had ignored the law, thinking power was enough. And that mistake cost her everything. Mark realized something deeper. Silence is not weakness. Patience is not fear. Courage is quiet. For the neighbors, it was a moment of awakening. They saw that rules are for everyone. And that abuse of power can be stopped. And for Karen? She learned a lesson she would never forget. Power without fairness is fragile. Arrogance hides weakness. And every action has a consequence. Mark closed his front door. He looked out the window one last time. The neighborhood was calm again. No threats. No fines. No fear. Only justice. And sometimes, justice doesn't shout. It waits. It watches. And when the time is right, it delivers a knockout.